Hey everybody, Hugh here. Welcome back. Well, I thought it about time to do a long form video for the courtyard and beyond, just capturing what's going on here. Mid-September, haven't put one up in a while. I did do a record of one, I think for July, or was it early August, but I don't think it ever made it up. But what we'll do is we'll have a quick look around here, see what's going on, and pop over to the tunnels there. You can see just as I pan around here, definitely flavours of autumn to enjoy in the courtyard. I am still putting up the shorts here on YouTube every couple of days, maybe every 2 or 3 days. I know during the spring and summer I do a lot more of them because there's so much changing, but this time of year the growth has slowed down. Much of the flower colour has stopped, although there's plenty of foliage interest still. The courtyard, I suppose, has a couple of areas here that I regularly refer to as sort of the seating area that always is covered in plants, and right behind that you have the pot pond, which is looking very full now, and behind that is, of course, the Acer, which is star of the show with the colour. And then as we pan over to this side, this is the staging area, which is a central point as we walk in through the garden gate to the front door. Is the area that catches the eye. Hang on a second, I'm just locking the gate open there. So as you come in the garden gate there, you come across the staging area. So it always is quite a sight. So I've begun to remove 1 or 2 plants. We've been discussing revamping the area itself because, you know, a lot of summer colour is going over now at this stage. Time to make decisions about what to save or not to save over the coming year. And we always have plenty of discussion and debate about that. And as I was beginning to remove 1 or 2 plants, I said, jeepers, I better actually capture this before we move into winter mode. Well, sorry, just jumped the whole season there, haven't I? Before we moved into autumn mode. But really, we're looking at sort of autumn winter season that's there, and you can see the plants that are going over, the likes of the white geraniums. They've been providing bundles of colour from midsummer onwards, despite the rain. We did have them indoors for some months to bring them on a bit, but they have been shining. And of course, white is a great colour, flower colour at this time of year when the levels of light are lower. Another colour is fading. The white tends to stand out at night. But even these guys have been affected by the constant wet, and you can see the flowers there, you know, going over as the rain hits them. Well, some of them going over and then not spreading to other flowers. Interestingly enough, one of the flowers that's gone over here has produced some seed, so we'll have a look at that off camera to see if there's any viable seed there, so we may decide to bring them on. The stars of the show over the past couple of years have always been these heuchera rose glows. You can see they're looking quite poorly now, and I wonder, is that to do with some vine weevil, or is it just, ooh, roots are quite loose. These guys are always hit by vine weevil, and even with the gravel put around them, you'll see one of my videos around vine weevil there on my playlist, and even with the gravel put around them, they just burrow straight into the stem and there's no stopping them. So yeah, look at that. So it's so loose in the pot, so you could say it's weather related, but I think it's more to do with the vine weevil related. So we'll go through those. These guys, of course, are annuals. The French marigolds, or tete-a-tetes. I do love the scent of the foliage of these guys. This is one of the highlights for my summer, along with the likes of sweet pea and scented lilium bulbs, you know, from a scent perspective, but they are going over as well. And as we were discussing plants that we're going to retain, possibly retain, Miss Judith was talking about the osteospermums and how they overwinter quite well here. So I think they'll get a reprieve, because otherwise I'd cut the heads off the whole lot, bin them, and start again next year. Well, maybe take a couple of cuttings, but mostly, you know, buy a few plants in the spring and away we go again. Cosmos was a great doer. Plants that we bought and they've just been in flower and in flower. Haven't particularly deadheaded them recent times, more been enjoying just that autumnal feel. And of course the Indian summer, the Alstroemeria Indian summer, such great doers in pots for us. Honestly, they just go on and on and on. Nice rich compost, mostly homemade with manure added. Thank you, Katie, if you're listening into this. And they just flower and flower, a bit of deadheading and so on and so forth. And they're lovely. And of course conifers, hebes, will feature as we go into the autumn time, along with some of the grasses, which will become more prominent because we do have a store of them. That white flower is one of my metal flowers that I made, that is aging nicely, and of course in front of that is the canna. The palms that we have here, we typically put them under cover in the greenhouse just to overwinter them, because I'm not sure how winter hardy they are. That's looking back up the courtyard, and you can see when I started, there is the bench that we acquired earlier in the year, and what a lovely feature. It tucks in very nicely. We do have some work to do to finish around at the back of it, but it's well disguised by plants. And of course some conifers and bays and grasses there that we'll redistribute, and that's a lovely acer. Judith, if she's ever on this, will tell you the story about how that's her acer, because I was going for something else and she picked that one. And what a lovely choice it is too. Fresh green foliage during the summer, and then maturing to a later green, and of course a lovely rose, and of course Cujo, the neighbour's dog when it sees our cat. Anyway, that was a distraction. And that rose, that standard rose that came in a pot, a nice pot. It actually flowered, nice small pot it fitted into. Sorry, I did put it on, and it flowered fairly well. It's just quite good, because our success with roses here has been questionable. We have had some good ones. There's a white sort of creeping rose, but some other ones that just haven't been good doers. The big one in the corner there, which was meant to be a white, came out as sort of an orangey with a red base to it. That's reasonably nice. We're not a great doer, and I want to get rid of it and put in a plant that we do want there. But those discussions are ongoing. And fuchsias we didn't have great success with a couple that we got. In fact, I've already binned some, but that one there has just been a great doer. It's just with an osteospermum behind it. And if you look through some of the shorts that I've had put up, you can see that we've just been enjoying it in that position all summer. Sometimes you get plants and the positions just work for them, don't they? You can see a hosta down there underneath the Alstroemeria. So that's going to die back. And some of these plants that are going to die back, we do want to get them labelled. There's a little purple dwarf Alstroemeria that produces some nice flowers. And again, it's all about labelling them now over winter. Otherwise names will be forgotten, and if they're plants that die back, you can see that's a pink Alstroemeria there to the centre, and behind that there's a yellow. So Alstroemerias, we have been converted. Where we were doing dahlias a couple of years ago, it's very much about the Alstroemerias now. And so lots to do, but the very first part is just to remove the plants now that are going or gone over. Some of the plants will make their way, like those geraniums, will make their way into maybe the tunnel or the glasshouse, just to enjoy the flower for a little bit longer before they'll be. I'll be surprised if we overwinter them, although that's a discussion that has to be. The just outside the courtyard, you can see the hydrangeas have been full of flower, and that's a little a big viburnum that's beyond them, that again has provided the sort of colour there with the buxus beside them from an outside perspective. The courtyard was painted. Thank you to the painters involved. They know who they were during the summer, because it is made of old and recycled wood. And around here, this pot growing buddleia, which has attracted any few butterflies that we've had, has grown out of all proportions. So that's going to be cut back big time, because most of the flowers are finished. And of course that is the future, my friends, with all the spring bulbs that we have to make some decisions about. But anyway, courtyard overview. middle of September. Nice to see it in this particular state. Just capture this snapshot in time and some extras and additionals. Now we'll pan over to the houses. Not going to spend long here because I like to do 10-minute long forms, so there's no point in going over that, in my opinion, because I lose interest, and I'm sure anyone that's still watching loses interest. This has been our dahlia and grape house all summer. You can see the grapes there. Hasn't been a great crop of grapes, but any grapes that we have had, the birds have enjoyed. So encouraging wildlife. I took the panel out during the summer at the back there. You can see it. Just in case it was going to get too warm, it never did. That is our vaccinium, our blueberry, which we did get some nice crops off, and they have been frozen for me to enjoy with my cornflakes for morning time. Strawberries have run away with themselves outside. They were in pots, and some plants have run away with themselves. Have clipped out most of them, but left one or two. And that, what you're looking at there, my friends, is potatoes that were pot grown. We've already used one of the pots, and there's some more there to enjoy. Sort of salad sized potatoes rather than dinner size, if that makes sense to you. Some more strawberries, pots and plants. And from an interest point of view, if you're watching for the veg growers, that's how I did my onion sets. What are they, 7cm pots? And that's not too bad, actually. I thought at one point I'll grow these, start in these pots, and then put them all into 2-litre pots, so you can see them. So you can see them there. Sorry. And a grape that's flowering there. Sorry, I'm being distracted by the dog now. And that is, tomato. That's in flowering and fruiting there. Apologies about the sound effects, just adds to the flavour of what's going on around here. Of course, the sage, still enjoying the glass house here, and some begonias that we potted on quite late are flowering very nicely. So that's pretty much the glass house. What's going on? The greenhouse, as it is there. Chrysanthemum that we've moved in. As I'm moving some of the plants for saving out of the courtyard area, they're making their way into the glass house or greenhouse. For processing. And processing may mean being moved to different places, i.e. the bins, or being overwintered in those spaces, or just being put aside, making sure we've got labels on them. Some plants there for winter interest, the mahonia that we've got at half price in the spring, and the chenomales, and the more of those. Ed, if you're watching, all the algae, we're going to have do some experimenting about that. And then, pardon me, let's go into the greenhouse. I am aware of time wise, we'll speed our way through this, because that is the larger, what we call African marigold Tagitae. It's a giant one, it's up to a waist height, and again, love the scent of it, as I said earlier. Super scent to it. It is fantastic. And then tomatoes. I know there's plenty of people that haven't had that much success, but we've done reasonably well considering the year that's been in it. We have picked up, is it 5 kilograms or 6 kilograms now at this stage? The smaller fruiting ones, in difficult years, the smaller fruiting ones, it's always good to grow some of the smaller fruiting. Always. Because really, they tend to be good doers even in the damper of years. The bigger ones, they can sit on the tomatoes can sit in the plants for a long time before you're getting anything worthwhile turning green. Interestingly, the John Bear that I was given seeds a number of years ago now have produced some lovely big fruits, and we have picked off some already. There's not very little red here because we've picked them off. Fuchsia in pot, that's one of the semi-successful ones. Again, it's going to be taken out and sent to a better place. Not going to try and overwinter it. Leave the place nice and clean for a fresh spring crop. And I think that'll have to be the emphasis of the winter, is giving pots and that a good scrub and a good clean, you know, getting things nicely refreshed. A lot of the compost that we use in the soil, in fact most of the compost that we've used in the soil, is either from homemade compost or compost that we're recycling out of pots. So there does come a time when it's completely exhausted, and unless you're mixing in a lot of fresh, preferably organic food, the plants require a lot of feeding. So luckily enough, now I have a good friend who has plenty of manure available, so that's going to be a project. I might knock on their door again and see if I can get another load. I got a nice load in the spring. But anyway, there you go. That's the glass house in all its glory. Sorry, that's the tunnel in all its glory. God, this video's gone on nearly 16 minutes. Apologies about that, folks. But anyway, you get the picture. It's the September overview of the courtyard and the grow tunnels. Nice little snapshot in time. I do still put up the shorts if you watch them. It's just capturing the day-to-day interest, or not, as the case may be. 2 or 3 times a week. It's nice to capture, and they're only ever 10 or 12 seconds long, so they're like little snapshots. Meantime, look after yourselves there, and as we head into the autumn, do stay warm, look after yourselves, and if you get a chance to get out and refresh the garden, take the opportunities, because this light and bright that we're getting over these days, it's only going to get less, isn't it? Anyway, all the best for now. Talk to you on the next one. God bless. Bye bye.